Hi, this is Steve Stein from Lessonface.com, and in 2014 I'm going to be starting a monthly series with the ultimate goal of teaching you how to improvise both comfortably and confidently across your entire fretboard in any key using both pentatonic and diatonic scales. And we're going to accomplish this by breaking everything down into three separate categories. The first category is going to be absolute understanding, which is going to include the knowledge of your fretboard, scales, chords, all of those sorts of things, notes on your fretboard, as well as fundamental theory. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to phrase properly. We're going to do that by creating interesting musical, rhythmic, melodic ideas on the fretboard. We're going to talk about how all of that works. And then the third thing we're going to do is we're going to enhance your technical abilities. Technique is one of those things that, again, always seems to get in the way for a lot of players. Even when you have the ideas in your head of what you want to play, sometimes it's hard to make it come out with your hands. So those three categories we're going to talk about every month. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to keep giving you pieces from these categories to study. And then I'm going to keep adding more every month until ultimately it all kind of comes together with full clarity for you. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, what is absolute understanding? The one thing I've noticed in being a teacher for this many years is that I get people that kind of, they do things over and over and over. They learn things and then they forget things, or they learn things and then they move on to some other topic and then they forget what they were doing in the first place. So they kind of just keep playing runaround. The goal with absolute understanding is that when you look down at your fretboard and you think of something, whatever it might be, you absolutely know what it is. You don't relatively know what it is. I'll take scales for an example. A lot of times when people learn how to play scales, they learn them, I call it with blinders on. They'll learn how to play a position, but when they want to move up to the next position, they can only move up and then play that position. They can't see the two of them together or the entire fretboard together. Same thing with notes on your guitar, trying to find where a bar chord is or something. A lot of times people struggle with knowing where things are absolutely. And so what I want to do for you is I want to start breaking all those things down. So each month you're going to learn some things on an absolute level, which is going to take some practice, obviously. So the first thing I want you to learn is the minor pentatonic shapes. There's 5 minor pentatonic shapes, and I want you to learn the 5 major pentatonic shapes. And that's in 1 month, and it might seem like a lot, but it's really not. The minor and the major pentatonic shapes, you're going to notice with the charts that I've given you, are actually the same shapes. They just occur in different places. Now, if you've already done pentatonic stuff, just follow along, and we'll get to some other things coming up here as well. But what I want to do is just show you really quick, because I only have so much time to go through these. I'm going to show you the 5 positions of A minor pentatonic. And then what you can do is you can take a look at those, and I want you to start, again, absolutely memorizing each one. So the first position would start on the 5th fret if I'm in A, and I'm going to go 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7, 5-8, 5-8. Okay? What I want you to learn how to do is I want you to be able to play that all the way up and all the way back down, and you're going to start learning how to do that with both down picking and alternate picking. So you're going to go like this. You're going to go do some down picking, then you're going to turn around and come back. And you're also going to do that alternate picking, which is down-up picking. And what I want you to notice, I'm always doubling on the top there, and the reason I'm doing that on this 8th fret of the 1st string is so as I'm alternate picking, everything is down, up, down, up. So I have down, up, and down, up. Okay? And here's the big thing, if you've never done this before, the second position of A minor pentatonic connects right to the first position like a puzzle piece. So if your first position is sitting here from 5 to 8, the second position connects from 8 to 10, okay? And it looks like this. Now again, I'm not trying to go too fast, but there's a lot to cover in the next 12 months here of trying to get all this stuff done. So what's happening there, if you think about it, is I'm playing the same notes, I'm just playing them in a different position. So as I go like this, if you watch this, it's the same notes. So I keep playing the same notes over and over and over. That's what I want you to get comfortable with, is seeing how they connect. That as you move to that second position, nothing is happening other than you've moved somewhere else on the fretboard, right? To get out of this spot, you have to move somewhere. But we're going to keep playing the same 5 notes, penta meaning 5. We're going to keep playing those same 5 notes across the fretboard. So what I want you to start learning how to do is I want you to learn how to visualize these 5 positions across the whole fretboard. Now the first position would start at the 5th fret. that means the fifth position is actually sitting in front of it. So as you play, if you go first position, second position, third position, fourth position, fifth position, and you get to the 15th fret and 17th fret, okay, those two notes, 15 and 17, are octaves of the 3 and 5. So that fifth position that you're ultimately going to wind up on is actually sitting right down here in the third and fifth fret, excuse me. So what I want you to do is, as best you can, I want you in the next month to be able to memorize all 5 of those positions in the key of A minor, pentatonic. Okay, if you can't get all of them memorized, what I want you to focus on is the fifth position, the first position, and the second position. That way you've got a block here that you can utilize in your playing to start learning how to move around with. Okay, so that's what I want you to focus on, learning all 5 of the pentatonic positions in the key of A minor. If for some reason you don't have time to get to all of them, start with the first 3 and then just keep building, because again, that way you're going to get, the big thing is to get out of this first position. Everybody learns that and then they get stuck there. We want to get out of that. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to look at major pentatonic. Now, major pentatonic is the exact same thing as minor pentatonic, except you move that way 1, 2, 3 frets. So all of it is exactly the same, except you're moving down toward the headstock 3 frets. Okay, so A minor starts with my first finger, first position. A major, I move back 3 frets and I start with my pinky on the A. Now that gets confusing for people because they go, well, doesn't that mean I'm in F sharp minor? And the truth is, that's another conversation, but the truth is, yeah, you are. A major and F sharp minor are the same key. They use the same notes, okay? But we'll get into that a little bit later when we start talking about the theory. What I want you to do, again, this month is I just want you to focus on memorizing shapes. You're memorizing the A minor across the fretboard starting at the 5th fret, of course, and then being able to do it on both sides of it. Okay, and then I want you to also do A major pentatonic by moving back 1, 2, 3 frets. And then again, they all connect the exact same way. If you look at those charts, you're going to see that. Okay, the third thing I want you to do is I want you to start memorizing the notes on your 6th string. Okay, and again, I've got a chart available for you to see that, but I'm going to give you a quick shortcut. Here's what I want you to think about. When you pluck the 6th string, you hear E, obviously. Now, I want you to use the dots on your guitar, or the odd numbers, they're the same thing, okay, to memorize these notes. First fret, you may have a dot, you may not, but the first fret of the 6th string is F. The 3rd fret, which is a dot, again, maybe you have a dot, maybe you don't, but the 3rd fret is G. The 5th fret is A. The 7th fret is B. Now let's just hold on for just a second there. F, G, A, B. 1, 3, 5, 7, F, G, A, B. Okay? I guarantee you, if you absolutely thought about it for a while, you could memorize 1, 3, 5, 7, F, G, A, B. And you'd be halfway there, F, G, A, B. Okay? Then we move on. The 8th fret and the 10th fret are C and D. Now that's not on a dot, but if you look, it surrounds this dot. So it's a really easy way of memorizing that. F, G, A, B, and then C and D surround that last single dot before we get to the 2 dots. And the 2 dots, of course, means that we've gone the octave. So everything that we're learning is going to start all over again on the next however many frets that you have. So minor pentatonic, major pentatonic, both in A, and then you're learning F, G, A, B, C, and D. Now, there are sharps and flats on the fretboard, and the reason we're skipping that right now is sometimes that gets confusing for people. When I used to teach the notes on the fretboard to students, I used to just have them learn all of it, and the problem is many times when they'd be learning it, what they would do is I'd say, okay, find C, and they would count up. Or I'd say, find D, and they would count up. What we're trying to alleviate is the problem with counting. We want to absolutely know where those notes are. So if I say to you, what's at the 3rd fret, you say G. What's at the 7th fret? B. What's at the 10th fret? D. That's what you want to memorize. F, G, A, B, C, and D. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10. Once you've got those memorized and you absolutely know 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10, F, G, A, B, C, and D, then you move on and you start memorizing the spaces in between. So for instance, if 1 is F and 3 is G, F sharp or G flat. F sharp, G flat is an enharmonic. It's 2 names for the same note. F sharp, G flat. Sharp means to move up, flat means to move back. So instead of getting cluttered with F sharp, don't worry about F sharp. Learn F. If you want F sharp, it's 1 higher. Learn C. If you want C sharp, it's 1 higher. but learn 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10. F, G, A, B, C, and D. And then slowly start adding in the sharps and flats after you've learned the other ones. Don't take it too fast, otherwise you're going to wind up having to count all the time again, and we don't want that. Okay? So that's going to cover what we're doing in absolute understanding, is learning the 2 pentatonics, A minor, A major, and the notes on the 6th string. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next category, which is the phrasing category. Now we're not phrasing yet, but once you've learned how to play your pentatonic positions, okay, as many as you're learning, I want you to start learning how to do a technique that I refer to as meandering. Now, at this point, this is not a musical technique. It's a fairly brainless technique. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to teach yourself to see how long you can play without stopping on your fretboard at whatever speed we're going to be playing at, okay? And we're going to want to move around. We're constantly going to have to move around. I'm going to show you how to do this meandering. What it's going to teach you is, how well do you know your fretboard? Okay, and how well does your brain and your hands have the ability to execute a concept? So for instance, if I take my metronome, and I've got this set at 120, and I'm just playing bum, 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 bum. But with meandering, what I want to do is I want to go like this. And again, don't try and make it sound overly musical. That's really not the point. The point is you're just going to try and use as much of the fretboard as you can without stopping. You can't stop. That's the goal. Okay? So again, at this point, just a brainless movement to try and create some automation with yourself. Okay? Here it is. Just the same thing. I'm going to go like this. So maybe I go, but then I move on. It doesn't matter what you do, but just see how long you can do that, okay? Now, I've got mine set at 120, and I'm moving at 8th notes, so I'm going da, 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 da. The technical aspect of this, the third category, is I want you to keep trying to bump this up as you get more comfortable. Start bumping up that meandering idea, okay? And remember, you can't stop. You have to keep going, okay? If you want to cheat a little bit, what I tell my students is you could maybe just stay on the same note while you're trying to think of something. But don't get caught up in trying to play fast or trying to play licks. We'll get into all of that. But right now, you're just trying to train yourself to be able to move across all 5 positions of A minor pentatonic, or all 5 positions of A major pentatonic, or whatever it might be. And we're also prepping ourselves for the next category by learning all of the notes on the 6th string, starting with F, G, A, B, C, and D, and then ultimately using meandering to start creating phrase concepts, learning how to move around the fretboard. How do you move around? Do you move up and down? Do you move side to side? You know, there's all kinds of different things that we can learn how to do. And then lastly, the technical aspect of it is using the metronome. If you can do it at 120, you set it at 132, you set it at 140, whatever, it doesn't make any difference, but you keep trying to build. Now, you can certainly use jam tracks to do these sorts of things. You know, I used to love to take like AC/DC songs, you know, like whatever it might be, Highway to Hell or Back in Black or whatever, and I'd figure out what key it was in, and then I would try meandering to those songs. I would try to just move around, and then I started learning how to phrase and things like that. So you don't just have to use a metronome, you can actually use physical songs too. But it's nice to use a metronome to just keep track of how well you're doing. So that's a lot in a very little amount of time, but it at least will get us started for this month, and then next month we're going to take off from there. So I need you to be prepared. So please practice. Get a hold of me through lessonface.com. with any questions that you might have in terms of how this works. I'm always available to answer any questions about stuff. So take care, have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.